Media. As consumers, we are bombarded by it at every turn, like the Incredible Hulk being bombarded by gamma rays. But what makes some media endure, while others are banished to the forgotten black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again? Who or what decides this? Hetero life mates Steve and Yahel want to know, and they want to know now. This is Obscurity Now. And what's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Obscurity Now, the only podcast that boldly looks at obscure and almost forgotten media and tries to decide if it should be remembered for the rest of time or tossed into the black hole of obscurity. I mean, we always use that one, but there's some more space terms for you. Black hole.
Oh, good job, Steve.
Yeah, I thought you'd be impressed. I'm here with Brigadier Captain... co-host.
Yes, only refer to me as Captain now.
All right, Captain. Do you want to say your Captain Yahel? Happy birthday, sir! To get that right out there. He's hip. He's cool. He's 41 years old.
Yep. How you doing, kids?
You're here to tell us all about TNG, I presume, Captain Yahel.
Yeah. Actually, you cut out for a second for me there. Am I ready to tell you all about what? TNG?
Yes, TNG.
Yes. I'm pretty excited. I just found this old thing in the closet, no big deal.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Like, I mean, I feel, I don't want to say left out, but like I'm underdressed, basically. Like, if the head of Starfleet were here, I'd get thrown in the brig or something like that.
You will be court-martialed after this podcast, sir.
Well, I mean, I used to be a Borg. Does that mean anything? I don't know.
I don't know.
They'll assimilate anyone, let's be honest. But
very excited to discuss this, although this wouldn't be like an episode I would ever recommend for somebody to try to get someone into Star Trek per se, just because it's like so different from all of the other TNG episodes.
Oh, I noticed. But before we get too deep, yes, this is the podcast where we look at random obscure media, movies, TV, comics, and sometimes we just pick a random episode of classic 90s TV. And this is actually, it's the month of October, if you're listening to this currently. And we've been exploring Halloween media. So our first movie didn't really have anything to do with Halloween, but it was a horror film called Brainjacked. You should check that one out. And then after that, we looked at the Garfield Halloween special, which I think it's pretty funny because that was about cats. And there's cats in this show too. Like I know you're a cat guy, but I'm the one who picked Garfield. And I don't know. Did you pick this purposely because there's cats in it?
No. I actually forgot that Spot, because Spot, Data's cat, is in several episodes.
Oh, I didn't realize it was like a big.
It's a reoccurring character. Steve.
Oh, whoa! Well, man, like watching this made me realize that there's a lot of like later episodes that I've never seen. It was really interesting. But again, before we get too deep, what we're talking about specifically is Star Trek: The Next Generation. Season 7, episode 19, and the episode is called Genesis. And we picked it because I challenged Yahel. I asked him, I said, I was like, Yahel, you're a Trekosexual, aren't you? And
yep, and that is how I
mean,
that's what my sexual orientation.
That's what you people want to be called. I know.
Right.
And I said, hey, is there any Trek that like fits into the realm of Halloween? And I mean, and I would actually qualify that question with, like, do they celebrate any holidays at all in the world of Star Trek?
There is an episode where they have a Captain Picard Day. It's like an unofficial holiday on the Enterprise. It's mostly for the children, but anyway, they make Captain Picard little gifts and trinkets, and he like has to judge their artwork or something.
That sounds awful.
That's actually a really good episode. But yeah, and he hates the Picard Day thing. It's pretty funny. But And besides that, there is in the first Star Trek TNG movie, basically there's a Christmas scene where it's not really happening in the real world, but
you mean they don't call it Life Day?
No. He's like in this thing that lets you kind of live out your fantasies or whatever, and he's just having like a very British
yes.
Christmas.
Yeah, no matter how far in the future humanity gets, there's always Britishness to be had.
Yes, exactly.
Fantastic.
But that's pretty much it, man.
Well, yes, there's no room in the future for silly holidays and celebrations.
Yeah, there's no human holidays. There's like lots of alien holidays. Like there's always like some weird Klingon holiday ritual going on.
They're always celebrating things, those people.
Yeah.
All right. I'll stop using this as an excuse to sound racist. Okay. Well, are you ready to dive deep into Star Trek: The Next Generation Genesis?
Yes. And I would, usually you ask me what my relationship with Star Trek is, and we don't have that kind of time. So,
well,
what's your relationship with Star Trek?
Okay. Well, I mean, I would like to know when you first got into it, but I'll go first. I think anyone who's listened has probably figured out that I am was a casual Trek viewer. I think I watched mostly the original Star Trek, and then here and there, I would say like early episodes of The Next Generation. I think you can.
Oh, good. You watched the worst ones. Good.
Are those? Because
season 1 and 2 are the worst 2 seasons.
Right. Because I mean, I think I remember the pilot when they had that weird black pool thing. Is that the pilot basically, or
no? But that is in season 1.
Right. I remember watching
season 2. The episode's called Skin of Evil. The one that kills Tasha Yar.
Yes. I remember that when it premiered, and then of course random Borg episodes because I thought those guys looked awesome because they reminded me of RoboCop, but boy, were they anything but like RoboCop. Yeah. I'm a casual Trek guy, seen a few of the episodes, but I'd like to know, well, we'll save that to the end. So when exactly did you decide to become a Trek fan, or were you just born that way? Please tell me.
I was born that way, but I didn't realize it until I don't remember how old I was exactly, but I know I started watching it during season 3, so it would have been 91 maybe. So I was probably 11, maybe 10, and yeah, I just randomly put it on one night or turned on TV and it was on, and I got hooked. And thankfully, they were running the first couple of all the previous episodes in syndication already. Every weeknight, they would play an old one, so I got caught up. And
nice.
I've been deep in love with Star Trek ever since.
Deep in the Trekosexual community. I gotcha.
Yes.
All right, well, let's run the bumper, and we'll get even deeper into Deep Space: The Next Generation. But
I'm regretting this.
Welcome to your feature presentation.
All right, if you're a podcast listener, you're right now missing out on our awesome Star Trek Genesis slideshow that shows random clips from the
thing of beauty.
There's the iguana. Oh man, that cracked me up. I don't know why. Yeah, as I said, or maybe I didn't, this premiered March 19th, 1994. And did you catch this when it premiered, or did you catch it later on the flip-flop?
Oh, no, sir. This is season 7, so I was deep into my love for TNG. And this is a late season 7 episode. So, yeah, I caught it when it aired.
Yeah, I noticed. And this is what, watching it, I was like, wow. There must be a lot of later Trek that I miss because when I close my eyes and I think about Star Trek: The Next Generation, everyone looks pristine and beautiful, especially Riker. and then in this one, I mean, I don't know if they started using HD cameras or maybe I just got an HD copy, but I'm man, everyone looks so much older than I remember.
Yeah, I mean, TNG was remastered.
There you go.
In HD from the original film. So yeah, every streaming service now has the HD version.
Right. But I will say the like the ship and like the outer or exterior shots of space and stuff looked way better than I remembered. It looked awesome.
They really hold up.
For sure. So here's a synopsis of, once again, Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 7, Episode 19, Genesis. The crew go back in time to the 90s to ensure the Sega Genesis is the rightful winner in the console wars, and Geordi gets conned into a job reading children's books. That's it, right?
That was bravo.
You like that? All right, here's the real one. All right. When a new torpedo guidance system malfunctions, Picard and Data go chasing after it into an asteroid field, while the crew is left behind to deal with their own strange behaviors. Yeah, that's the real one. I'd say that synopsis does it justice. And this was directed by Gates McFadden, which is like the best name ever. And in case you don't know, she also plays Dr. Crusher, which is also a cool name. The writing credits. Now, was Gene Roddenberry still alive in season one?
No.
All right.
Gene died during season 3.
I thought so. All right. I guess they just have him here as the creator. I guess the written by is Brannon Braga?
It's Brannon Braga.
Brannon Braga. All right. That's much better. Renee... God, I'm dying here.
Echevarria.
Thank you. And Naren Shankar. I can nail that one. Are these some regular Trek contributors?
Yeah. Brandon Braga ended up becoming basically kind of like the showrunner for Star Trek Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
He would always write kind of like weird episodes. Yeah, if you couldn't tell.
Right.
But no, he's got like a lot of really good episodes to his name. He actually is one of the showrunners or one of the executive producers on The Orville now, which has like a bunch of Trek people in it. And Renee Echevarria, he wrote a bunch of episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Very cool. And this was produced by Paramount Television. Yeah, so did you want to handle the cast here?
Yeah, so we've got a couple people that have been in Star Trek this week.
Yeah, we're gonna pass the Star Trek connection bumper this time.
Yeah, I think that might be a good idea. So obviously Patrick Stewart, you know him from everything. I almost said Captain X, Professor X.
The original Dune movie by David Lynch. There's your Twin Peaks connection.
Maybe you know him as the Nazi from The Green Room.
Oh yes, that's true.
He's good. That's a great movie.
Oh, that is a good movie.
But and funny enough, the guy that plays Chekhov in the reboot movies is in that movie too. Anyways. Jonathan Frakes, known from other stuff like Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction. He's the guy with the meme asking you a bunch of questions. But he went on to become like a pretty big time director. He's got tons of credits, TV credits to his name. He's done a few movies. He directed Star Trek First Contact, the Bourne movie.
That's true.
LeVar Burton, as we all know, he was conned into becoming
reading
a reader
books.
of children's books.
On a Reading Rainbow, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously from Roots. He also did some directing.
Oh yes, you have to mention the movie that we reviewed of his with Katie Sagal.
Oh my God, Smart House.
Yeah, Smart House.
The Disney movie.
The surprisingly good Disney movie. Make sure you check out that episode. Man, I feel like we've been podcasting for years now, but I don't know. It's maybe like 10 episodes old. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. Michael Dorn, who plays Worf, he's done a bunch of other stuff too. A lot of voiceover work.
He was the voice of IR Baboon from remember that cartoon? It was attached to Cow and Chicken. I forget.
I don't even remember Cow and Chicken.
You don't like to laugh. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah. I only like serious space science.
Yeah, exactly.
Gates McFadden plays Dr. Crusher. She's also been in a bunch of stuff. She has a podcast now called, I don't know, something Gates.
Into the Gates.
Investigates. That's what it is.
Oh, clever.
Marina Sirtis plays Counselor Deanna Troy. She's done more theater than anything. Her and Jonathan Frakes are in a couple episodes of Star Trek Picard. One of the only good episodes of Star Trek Picard.
And if I could jump
Brent
in
Spiner.
real quick for Marina, she's also in one of the canon Death Wish movies. And I think she's spoken quite badly about her time working with canon. Anyway,
she's an outspoken person.
Yes, she is.
And of course, she and Jonathan Frakes both, and I think Michael Dorn too, did voices on Gargoyles, the cartoon.
Oh yeah. They had a lot of Trek people in that.
Yeah. All right, Jesus Christ, almost done. 2 to go. Brent Spiner plays Commander Data. I think he got his start like on Night Court or something. He's a pretty funny guy. Then Dwight Schultz, who plays Barclay. Now, Barclay was a reoccurring character. I think he's only in like 8 or 9 episodes total of TNG, but he gets brought back in Star Trek Voyager, and actually Troy does too. And they kind of help to get Voyager home. And I think he might be in more episodes of Star Trek Voyager than TNG actually. And then there's a bunch of nobodies, a bunch of ensigns, lower deckers.
Is that why you skipped over Patty Yatsuki? I mean, is she like a normal Trek person? There was a lot of people in here who I was like, I've never seen this person before.
She's a recurring character, but I mean, a lot of times like her only lines are just like, "Yes, doctor."
Right.
And that's it, and then you don't see her the rest of the episode. So she's got like this episode and another episode where she gets like some character development. There's an episode called Lower Decks. It's all about like ensigns basically on the ship, and it just concentrates on these 4 ensigns, and she's one of them, and she gets like a promotion in it. And but yeah, besides that, everybody else is just background. Sure. A lot of background actors.
Sure. I do know a lot about background acting. Yeah, all right, very cool. I think that pretty much sums up the cast quite well. So yeah, let's dive right into this. Our cold open. Man, this episode was so weird. I mean, it's not like how I remember TNG at all. We open with Riker is getting porcupine quills pulled out of his back, while Crusher deals with, like, Barclay's first name is Reg, right? They kept calling him Reg. Okay, yeah. Reg. A guy I've never seen in a Star Trek episode. When did he join the crew?
I want to say season 4, might be late season 3. And, the weird thing is, like, even though he's not a regular cast member, there's like several like Barclay-centric episodes. Like he's not a guy that comes in and does a line. Like there's like entire episodes just about him. Oh yeah, I mean after watching this, I thought he was going to be in like every sort of later episode from there on. I mean he's quite a character. Like he chews the scenery for sure. Yeah. I don't know. It was kind of a welcome sort of addition. I thought like maybe they added him because they felt they needed more comedic relief or something. But anyway. And I also thought it was funny that, all right, he's acting all hypochondriac. That's not a right word, but he's acting. Yeah. And then Crusher is like telling him, stop diagnosing yourself using Starfleet medical database. And that's funny because like so many people are like, oh, I went on WebMD and now I have the plague and stuff. Like, it's Star Trek predicts the future, man. Yeah, for sure. And so Data shows up and they start checking out a cat. Wait, you kind of glossed over why Riker has those giant cactus needles in his back. And they ask him like, oh, how did this happen? And Riker just casually says, oh, do you know Ensign Lieutenant so-and-so? And he's like, yeah. Oh, well, we were down in the Arboretum walking and then things got romantic. And next thing you know, I rolled over on this cactus. So basically Riker's like, yeah, I was fucking her in the Arboretum. All right. See, that's hilarious. I think I might have missed it because I was busy writing my notes. And that's one thing about the pacing about this episode is that I would say, I don't know, the first act like really breezes by fast. And then we get to a segment where it slows down, but we'll get there. But yeah, that's really funny because everyone knows that Riker is
quite the ladies' man, the
Yes, he is.
Starfleet pimp, if you will.
Yeah.
So anyway, Reg gets a shot. I can't remember her name. I just call her Asian Doc.
Ogawa.
Yeah, Ogawa says that she's pregnant in addition to the cat, and they all, you know,
Data's cat has been brought in for her checkup,
and yeah, that's basically what I gleaned from the cold open, and I have written here, overall very confusing. Like the tone felt so weird to me, like. I thought it was like someone's fever dream. Like this is, I don't know, my mind was like making up stuff that didn't happen. Like I thought that this was going to be like a Dr. Crusher episode since it was directed by her. And like she was imagining that this is how the sickbay was supposed to be or something like that. Or maybe she like, I don't know, drank some weird medicine or whatever. But it turns out that that's how it is, at least on this episode. And
it is a weird open. I get why they did it, because they wanted to establish that Spot was pregnant, because that actually becomes an important plot point to resolving things later on. And they wanted to establish, of course, that Riker still has it in the bedroom.
Every episode they have to.
Yeah. No, but they also needed to establish that Barclay was kind of the root cause of the illness that everybody ends up with.
Right. And I mean, so far, you know, but it's weird. Yeah, it is weird. I mean, you're definitely not in sort of scary or Halloween territory yet. It's just a weird Star Trek opening so far.
It's almost like a slice of life anime opening or something.
It is.
Where it's just like people are just going about their day, you know, just normal stuff. In fact, when they go to the credits, because usually, not just in Star Trek, but most shows that do cold opens, you know, you want like a cliffhanger-ish kind of end to your cold open, right? Something to make people come back after the credits and the opening theme and whatever. But instead, it just ends on like, I'm pregnant too, and they're just like, oh, that's great. And Data makes like some joke like about like, oh, if your husband needs any advice, you know, if
that was fun.
You know. Let me know. And it's my experience. He'll need all the help he can get. Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Oh man, that's, you know, I don't know. It's really funny. I think if you showed this to someone who's never seen an episode of Star Trek, I think they'd be really surprised. But anyway, so I wrote here, as I already said, that the opening looks a lot better than I remember. It looks great. Of course, the theme is classic. Anyway, scene 1, we're in the bridge. Worf is testing this new torpedo guidance system. So he fires a torpedo. One of them veers off, and basically they can't retrieve it. So Picard and Data have to go retrieve it in a shuttle. And then Riker says, the shuttle pilot is unavailable. And then Picard is like, just to make sure to undress Riker in front of everyone, he's like, I happen to be an excellent pilot, so fuck off. But he doesn't actually say that. And then...
it's weird that they didn't have Riker fly the shuttle because, or volunteer, because Riker is many times, they talk about how he's like one of the best pilots in Starfleet.
Oh, so he's like the Launchpad McQuack of the show?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Hopefully with less crashing. I don't know. I guess they needed Riker so they could turn him into that weird Cro-Magnon thing. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Spoilers, everyone. You should go watch this on Paramount Plus or.
It's still on Netflix, Paramount Plus, and Prime. I think still has it. I think Hulu still has it too, actually.
Very cool.
I thought it was funny though, like because like when they're doing the launch for the missiles, like Worf is so proud of his new missile guidance system that he like upgraded.
Oh yeah, and then
like, my new missile guidance system.
Yes, and then Picard comes along right before he leaves and completely crushes Worf by saying he needs to analyze his new guidance system. Like, it was so crushed, it was hilarious. I don't know, like, I mean, I actually am really enjoying like just all the character stuff at the beginning here. So off they go to retrieve the the torpedo. Scene 2, I guess we're in, is it Data's quarters or someone's quarters?
Yeah, it's Data's quarters because he's telling Reg to watch Spot. His
Right,
cat,
he
while
leaves
he's away.
Spot with Reg, which I don't know if I trust that guy with like anything, but whatever. I'll go with it. Reg finds a place for the cat to give birth. That was also kind of weird. Reg asks who the father of the cat is, and Data homoerotically sidles up to him and tells him he doesn't know, but there are a number of other cats on the Enterprise, and that totally blew my mind. Like, I'm just not used to seeing random cats running around on any of the...
Yeah, he says, not just that there's other cats, he says that there's a dozen male cats. So
they ran a train on
who knows
her.
how many female cats
Oh
there are.
no! Oh my goodness! But yeah, I just
But I just thought it was, but it doesn't make any sense, right? Because like, okay, fine, Spot escapes his quarter. Maybe when the doors opened, right? She like ran out of his quarters. But unless another male cat happened to like escape, and they happen to both be on the same deck,
right.
how are they gonna find each other?
I mean, and when
And they're not gonna go.
yeah, I'm sorry. Continue.
When did they do it? Because
Right.
like, you know, it's just corridors and rooms, and they're not going to go into a room, and there's no thing for them to hide behind. So
And when did the
real
hippies
weird.
running Starfleet allow the people to bring random animals onto the Enterprise? I mean, come on.
hey, man, that's in the Star Trek show Enterprise with, you know, and that's a prequel.
With Scott Bakula. Yeah.
Scott Bakula has a dog.
Mind blown. Oh my! But they never had it during Kirk's time. Let me tell you that. Well, it was run by Republicans back then. But.
He was too busy being the dog.
Right. All right. So now we're back on the bridge. Worf is just pissed that he can't find anything wrong with the guidance system. And Riker says, "Oh, you've been up for 6 hours. You need to go take a break." So I guess they have like much better working conditions in the future than we have here in the present.
He says that he's been like at that particular thing for 6 hours.
Okay, well that's a little different, but yeah.
So he's telling him to take. That's why he wants to take a break. But before that, when Riker goes up to him to tell him that, Worf like gets super pissed at him and is like, "Must you stand so close to me?"
yeah. Do you?
The way he delivers it is hilarious.
Oh yeah, like do you think that? I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm not used to seeing Worf get so angry. Do you think the performance was a little over the top compared to past like Worf performances?
Yeah. It's not the usual way he gets mad.
Very cartoony, I think.
Right. Which I kind of liked it because it kind of lets you know, hey, this is weird.
Right.
Like if you're a regular viewer, like
right.
this isn't normally how he acts when he gets mad. Like usually when Worf gets mad, he'll kind of be quiet. And he'll
That's
speak,
what I'm
he's
used
trying
to.
Contain himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, scene 4, we're in the cafeteria. This is so funny. Worf.
The cafeteria, sir. It's called 10 Forward. Please put some respect.
What's it
on
called? 10 Forward?
10. Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, I never knew that.
I think it's an actual naval thing. Like if you have like your galley like at the 10 o'clock of the ship, I think that's why it's called 10
Sure,
Forward.
just like Take 5 for anyone who's ever worked at Universal Studios. Maybe someone's listening. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're in 10 Forward. Excuse me. Worf angrily eats his lunch, which is hilarious. Then Deanna Troi joins him and orders caviar. Worf gets so caviar for lunch.
For lunch?
It was so funny. And then how he just sat
You're
there
in
with
space, man. Like it's not like literally the middle of the day, bro. Like who cares?
Right.
Like that she's having caviar for lunch.
That's such a weird thing to get angry about. But again, you're right. It's supposed to be weird.
Yeah.
And he just that scene when he just sat there with like the claw in his mouth, just sort of staring at her or just into space. Like it was so bizarre. I loved it. Yeah.
And I also liked. I don't know if you were aware, but Troy and Worf they get together in season 7.
I do remember that.
So at this point, they're already together. So that's why they're gonna have lunch together or whatever. And I thought like her reactions to him were like pretty funny too. Like you can tell she's just used to dealing with him. She's just like, he's just being Klingon, his Klingon self or whatever, you know.
Right. You people. It's a you people moment.
Yeah, she's like, calm down.
Right.
Simmer down, sir.
Right. Yeah, so then we're, I guess, into Worf's quarters in scene 5. He's tossing and turning, wakes up ripping his sheets, skulks around the room, tears up his mattress, and then sleeps on the floor. Not Academy, but Emmy Award-winning performance if I ever saw one. That's really all there is to say about that. And then we're in engineering, where Reg says there's when they, it's hard to write down all the sciencey stuff that they're talking about. Perhaps you can fill us in, but he says there's some sort of adjustment going on when they're in.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was, but something with the engine, and it was going to take X amount. He goes on this long explanation, like unusually long.
There's a lot of that in this episode. Well, peppered throughout, I'd say. And
at this point, Reg is like super hyper versus what we saw earlier. He's talking super fast and he's going a million miles a minute, so something's up with him now.
So we're back on the bridge now. This is another hilarious scene. Deanna, Troy asks the computer to adjust the AC, but Worf says no. He adjusts it back, and I guess it's just a quick scene to show that they're both like freaking out for the most part.
Yeah, like she's super cold, so she keeps turning up, and he's like, "No, you've turned it up 3 times."
Right.
And she says, "I'm gonna go." She's like, she's a commander at this point now. She's doing like the night watch on the bridge basically. So she's got the bridge, she's in charge, and she goes, "I need to take a bath."
Yeah.
And she just like leaves Worf in charge.
Yeah. Like all the male
scene,
Star Trek fans get really excited with that one line. But anyway.
I think we might have skipped the scene with Riker showing that he was like having trouble concentrating a little bit.
I thought that was after, or maybe
there's 2 similar scenes.
Okay. I mean, it must have been a short one. Otherwise I would have wrote it down.
Yeah, it's real subtle. He just starts like taking him a little bit longer to like finish a sentence or something. Like it's really subtle.
Right, but still, like it's so funny to see all the Starfleet members do things that you wouldn't normally see them do, because like I'm used to like the Swiss watch Starfleet, where everyone's just on it for the most part, and here they're all losing it. It's pretty awesome. And okay, so now we're back on the bridge. I think this is the scene here. Back on the bridge, Starfleet asks Riker about weapons analysis. Riker pauses and says they haven't finished it yet, and then he tries to say something else, and then the scene just cuts. He like just sort of zones out, and it was
like it took him forever to get it out. Like the guy that's telling him that Starfleet wants an update on it. He goes he says something like on the what?
Right.
Like he's forgotten what, and the guy's like the missiles, that we're retrieving.
Yeah.
I want to know if we've got it. Tell them, and then he has like this long pause. We haven't finished.
Yeah.
And then he stares off into like space.
It's so funny because like he just sounds like a guy who showed up to work hungover, basically, which is not something you would normally see from him. Anyway, next scene, Deanna Troi takes an erotic bath with her uniform on, and Worf comes in. There's a bit of an altercation. He screams at her to get out of the water, and then he bites her on the neck, which
on the cheek.
Was it the cheek? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like the cheek. Yeah, because later she has gills on her neck.
Right. And man, like that was.
Trust me, Steve.
I've
seen this episode.
I'm sure you have every Halloween, right? Yeah, and I mean, I was not expecting that. And then I think there's like a commercial break, and now we're back in the medical bay. Okawa says everyone is complaining about the cold temperature. Crusher discovers a weird growth on Worf's neck.
Troy and Worf are both in sick bay now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I called it the medical bay. My bad.
Yeah, it's sick bay. I was gonna let it slide. You seem to get a little sensitive about the 10 forward correction, but
no. I need to learn. It's the only way I'm ever gonna get into Starfleet.
So they said that like her temperature dropped like 8 degrees, which that's crazy. I think that would kill you, right? Or be pretty close to it.
Probably.
But she's also like changing. She's not quite human
Right.
Betazoid anymore.
Right.
And Worf, like you said, he's got like a sack on the side of his neck.
Yeah. Great makeup effects in this one, which we'll definitely see once we get later in the episode. But the perfect way to end any scene is when Crusher is checking out the thing on Worf's neck, and Worf opens his mouth and shoots out ice or something.
Venom.
Is that what it was? Like, I don't know. That looked really. I have a feeling like some of these effects probably looked a lot better in like the standard definition version. This just looked
so
weird.
They redid some of the digital effects that they redid them, but when they did them over, they didn't try to make them look better. They wanted it to like be true. Sure. The original. They just wanted it, they didn't want it to like be blurry and shitty looking, and obviously like because they were going to the original film stocks, they had to like redo the effects because they weren't done in camera. So yeah, I remember even as a kid that part looked a little weird. I don't know why they didn't just spray a liquid.
Yeah, and like, I think the way that it was shot was also a little, dare I say, cartoony, because it's like a complete close-up of him and his mouth opening in this weird, I don't know, superimposed, discolored. I mean, as I said, I thought
like green mist.
Yeah, green or blue. Yeah, it was the Great Muda. He showed up and sprayed it, Dr. Crusher. But
I do like Crusher's reaction to it. Like she, because it's supposed to be. We find out later she's going to need reconstructive surgery, so she should act like her face is burning off, and like she like really went for it. And you don't really see that a lot, like that kind of yelling in pain in Star Trek.
No,
at least not in the 90s.
Everyone's real reserved for the most part, which is why this episode was so surprising to me. Anyway, now we are in. I saw that it's called something else, but I wrote down. Oh, it's the Ready Room, right? That's where they are next.
Yes.
At first I put meeting room, but then I saw it written on the wall, Ready Room. So Okawa says Crusher is in stasis. Reg is acting weird, really weird and sort of in your face.
Super hyper, like
yeah.
He can't stay still. He keeps like getting into weird
the way
postures.
The way he was positioned on the table, like it was so funny, like some weird sculpture or something. And I wrote he needs to cut back on the coffee, but later we realized it has nothing to do with his caffeine intake.
Yeah. Did you notice what Nurse Ogawa was doing with her hands?
I did not.
So later she turns into like some kind of primate, like an ape-like thing. Right. And while she's like at the table talking, she starts. Oh, something just happened to the webcam. I don't know what. Oh, there it goes.
Okay.
Back. But she starts like doing this with her hands. I don't know if you can see it. Like she's making like kind of like a form, like a more like a primate would.
That's a nice touch.
And Riker is also doing stuff too, where he's kind of like has his fist on the table at some points, like he's like literally knuckle dragging. So like it's cool, like they're doing little subtle things, Yeah,
that is cool. Although
unfortunately, I'm convinced that Dwight Schultz has never seen a spike. Doesn't know what they're supposed to do.
I think you're right. Riker. All right, after the scene in the meeting room, he tries to send a message through the computer. But again, he zones out, and so a message never gets sent. And
we find out that Worf is missing because like Geordi comes in at some point, and they say that Worf is missing, and the computer can't seem to lock onto his life sign, can't seem to find him, or keep a steady lock, something like that. And then they say, they all realize that Nurse Ogawa was like, hey, there's a virus going on, we're all infected. And Riker's gonna warn Starfleet or send a message to Starfleet. And I thought this was like a really like cool kind of creepy scene, like the way they did it, where like Riker tries to contact Starfleet. He's doing the security channel alpha, blah blah blah. The computer's like asking for the code.
Yeah.
And he just zones out. He can't remember the code.
Yep, that's I'd say that's almost like classic sort of horror sci-fi kind of shtick right there. And it definitely works really well because that is basically the end of the Star Trek episode, as you know, right there. Because now we're like in almost like full on haunted house, like horror movie coming up. We're almost there. First, all right, next we're in the shuttle with Picard and Data. They retrieve the torpedo, no problem. No need to show that on camera. They could just talk about it.
Yeah.
It
took them 3 days to track it down.
Well, they're the best. What can we say?
They were like in an asteroid field,
right,
or whatever.
Right.
So I guess they said something was messing with their sensors or something.
I'm not here to judge. I'm just an average citizen. One day I'll be a member of Starfleet.
Maybe Riker was right. Picard shouldn't have been on this mission.
You're too old, Picard. Too old. Anyway, Data can't communicate with anyone from the Enterprise, but then he does a little computer razzmatazz, and then they find it anyway, and so they head back to the Enterprise. Now the next,
which is now adrift. It's very slowly spinning.
Right. And so the next scene is them stepping off onto the Enterprise like you've never seen it before. The power is off. The crew is missing. It's dark. There's spider webs, and now we're in like Halloween territory. But then they up the ante a bit. Oh, they find shed skin made of reptilian DNA, and that reminds me to tell you all to go go listen to Ray Can't Sleep, my audio drama. You know what? Let me just
what a beautiful segment.
Yeah, let me just play the trailer, and we'll get right back to Star Trek here. My name is Ray, and I can't sleep.
What happens when you try to sleep?
I feel like I'm dreaming, but I'm awake, and I can't move.
I think you were sleepwalking. You emptied your pockets, sat back down, and went back to sleep. There were some rough-looking characters on the bus, so I grabbed your stuff and sat next to you so no one would try anything.
So you saw someone who needed help, and you helped them? That is the most un-LA thing I've ever heard.
I've gone over the audio, and I think I found something.
Something good?
That's the guy. The one they've been talking about. Are you sure? Let's get him.
Do you think it's aliens?
It's odd, but I don't think it's anything that crazy.
Are you sure? Or maybe you're just being closed-minded. I just don't know who to trust anymore.
When there's nothing left to believe in, believe in sense.
That's right. Ray Can't Sleep, available wherever you get podcasts. Anyway, back to the show. So yeah, they find this skin. They analyze it. They find out that it's reptilian. And hold on, let me get my notes back up here. As I said, power is off. Crew's missing. They enter Deanna Troy's quarters to find her again in the bath, gentlemen, in the bath. But this time, she looks like she's turning into the creature from the Black Lagoon, or from The Shape of Water, if you want something a little more current.
Yeah.
But again, really cool makeup effects. Like, I'm sure it was really hard to make that so it could actually withstand the water and everything. I'm sorry.
Her gills, like I'm glad that they went through the extra trouble of making her gills actually pulsate in and out.
And yeah, for sure. But unfortunately, this is kind of when the episode starts to fall apart for me. And I think there's also like it's kind of hard to, I would say, force the world of Star Trek into like the world of like horror tropes, because like if I would have found like one of my crew members like in that state, like I would have really sort of snapped to, like, that's the thing, they never really rush anything on Star Trek, so they just sort of casually put her back, and then they're like, well, we need to get the ship back online. And I just feel like there's not really a sense of urgency between the two. I mean, and it's okay at this point, but we don't get that sense of urgency until much further down the line. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I mean, I get what you're saying, but they see like so much weird shit on Star Trek TNG like every week that this isn't really like, as crazy as this is, it's not like the craziest thing they dealt with even that month probably.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right. So, all right. Well, how about when they go back to the bridge, and there's the guy who I just put, who's not Sulu, who's sitting there with 3 gashes on his chest.
Yeah, the guy who got
yeah,
murdered.
it's a dead body basically, and they're just like, and Data. I mean, of course, there's no need for Data to freak out. I mean, of course, Picard, he's been a captain or whatever he is now, like all of his life, but
yeah.
I don't know.
I'll say this. I don't think that you make a good point. But Data obviously isn't going to freak out. He doesn't have emotions. Nope. And then Picard, if you're going to take any of the humanoid cast members or whatever, that's the one that wouldn't.
Sure. I mean, because of course, your captain can't freak out because then everyone else will freak out. I don't know. I just wish that there was some way where I felt like, all right, they get sort of a ticking time bomb later when Worf shows up. I just feel like maybe he should have showed up a little sooner, but we'll get to that.
I think they were trying to like go for creepy more than horror scary. Maybe. Sure. And it didn't. And they ended up like not quite hitting either fully.
Yes. Oh, you're absolutely right. But okay, so when they find the guy with the 3 gashes on his chest, I guess Data somehow figures out, I can't remember if it's because he scans the guy or looks at the computer, that the whole ship has been infected. They then go back to the ready room to find Riker in full-on Cro-Magnon transformation, which for some reason he has his middle finger out. For some reason, which I don't know. I thought that was funny. I don't know if like that was just a sort of in joke from the makeup people, or maybe Riker was like, it'd be funny if my middle finger was out. Oh, that'll.
He was a joker, but
you don't think so?
Well, actually, it's from what I remember. This is not Riker, the actor, Jonathan Frakes, in the Cro-Magnon
stuntman or something.
Makeup, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was a stuntman because a stuntman is like a bigger guy, and Jonathan Frakes is already kind of a big dude. But they just thought he would look more, and the guy and his stuntman does kind of have like a little bit of a slope to his forehead, so just thought it would look better. So.
Gotcha, I see. Well, I guess we'll never solve the mystery of the Cro-Magnon middle finger today, but someday. Anyway, Cro-Magnon Riker tries to attack Picard, but Data shoots him. And that's when Data realizes, or he, in very drawn out sciencey terms, he basically says the entire crew is all Devo. There's a Devo connection. They're all de-evolving into various creatures, I guess, depending on where they're from. Am I missing anything there?
I think like dormant.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like dormant DNA genes that are being activated.
Yep, which is all accurate science for the most part, if I remember correctly. And then that's when Data and Picard start to discuss the introns, which is basically what you were saying, which are causing them to mutate. And Picard is also infected, and he will. It's cracked me up. He says, "You'll eventually devolve into a lemur." And I really think that they missed the boat on getting to have Patrick Stewart turn into a monkey in this episode. Spoiler alert, he doesn't.
He would have acted the shit out of it, I'm sure.
Yes. Look out. Quick, I'm going to fling my poo at you. But anyway, so they go to Data's quarters. They find Spot's kittens, and Spot is turned into an iguana. Picard and Data figure out that they need to use Spot's antibodies to start the anti-venom process.
Well, yeah, because the kittens didn't get the infection passed down to them. So they're like, oh, it's probably due to the heightened immune system from the pregnancy. So that gives them the idea. But then Data says, well, we probably need human antibodies. So we need to find like a pregnant female. Right. Which is why now we know why they had that weird cold open with the nurse being like, I'm pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely no, the plot is solid. The script is solid. My only complaint is the pacing, but and this is when while they go to engineering, they find Reg, who's part spider now, and like
he had a really cool makeup.
Yeah, and this is where another sort of criticism of mine comes out, is that they spent all this time on all the creature makeup and stuff, and you really don't get to see a lot of it. I get they were, I guess using it sparsely at the beginning, in proper horror movie fashion, but like usually what happens at the end is like, I guess in typical horror movies, like all of like, your makeup effect creatures like get together and start to converge on the heroes, and you get to see them all like together and like fully lit and everything. And then finally at the last moment, your protagonist does the thing that turns everyone back to normal, which unfortunately we don't really get that with this episode.
Yeah. I almost wonder if they were afraid that like the creature effects would like the more they showed them, the less good they would look. Maybe like it's maybe they seem like they're really good, but it's because of the lighting and the angles that they're showing. Because the only one that we really ever see in like the normal kind of lighting is Riker and Troy, I guess.
Oh, the monkey was pretty fully lit, and the Dr.
nurse,
Monkey, yeah.
But like Worf and Barclay, like they're like pretty darkly lit,
right?
And I think it's probably, especially Worf, I thought he had the worst costume makeup job out of all of them.
I can see that not being very mobile also. So yeah, I mean, I guess you could call it the Jaws effect, if you will. The less you see of Jaws, the more scary he is. So yeah, I definitely see what you're talking about. So yeah, all right. While in engineering, they found Reg, who's part spider. We talked about that. And then you finally start to see Picard freak out. But I wrote here that the pace just feels so slow at this point. Because there's just a lot of, and this is the, very sort of anti-horror movie. There's just a lot of like standing around sciencing things, which kind of slows down the pace a lot. And I think there's a bit more of that in our next scene where they go back to the med bay, and they find
the sick bay.
Oh, dang it! I did it again. The sick bay. They find Okawa, who is now looks like she's from the Planet of the Apes, and then that's when Worf shows up and starts banging down the door, which is great. Like, I just wish he would have showed up sooner, because it really adds a sense of urgency to everything. They figure out in order to throw Worf off their scent, they can use Deanna Troy's pheromones. And so Picard takes the scent of Troy, which has to be a perfume by Calvin Klein at some point. While Data is doing something in the meantime, I guess he's working on the anti-venom for everyone at that time. Is that right?
Yeah, he's trying to. He's using Nurse Ogawa's pregnant juices, if you will, to
delicious.
Her pregnant juice to figure out the situation, and obviously they don't want Worf to get into sickbay and fuck everything up. So Picard uses a hypo spray that's got like Deanna Troy's pheromones that they took from her, and he goes out another door and starts like spraying in the air like her scent.
It's actually just CK1, but anyway.
yeah. And then Worf starts falling. And Worf, we should talk. I mean, Worf looks like
the Thing, like from the Fantastic Four, almost. Just in the head,
kind of, but with like sharp edges.
Yeah.
Like he almost looks like Doomsday a little bit, like
for sure.
Superman, like with all like the ridges that they look like bonish.
Wow, that's a good point. I wonder which one came first. I think Doomsday came first, actually, but I guess that was a popular look back in the '90s, baby.
Yeah, sure was.
So basically, Worf chases Picard. They chase them back to the duct that was being worked on in the beginning of the episode by Geordi and Reg. And I forgot to talk about that scene from the beginning when Reg and Geordi were working on the duct, and Reg he sort of half fixes it to bypass something. It's sciencey stuff. And then Reg goes to leave, and Geordi's just like, I'm just going to stay here and take a break. Which I don't know. Just for some reason it cracked. Like, why would you like take a nap inside the air duct? Like when you have perfectly good.
But he was being affected.
Yeah,
by
right. Exactly.
the thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, because you're right. It's very unlike Geordi to be like. I mean, it's unlike everybody to be. I'm going to take a break in this.
Sure, I'm just going to stay here and read a book. Yeah. So so Picard. I'm sorry. Continue.
Oh, sorry. And just one thing I really like about this isn't like one of my favorite episodes per se, but one thing I've come to really appreciate about this episode is that there's really like no wasted scenes.
Oh no!
Like every scene, they come back. It comes back to it in some way. Like the thing with the duct. Like they come back to the same duct, and as Worf is chasing Picard, he pulls out the big wiring that Reg had used earlier to bypass the thing, to basically shock the ground, and to shock Worf and like knock him out basically. So I don't know. I just really like that there was like a point for everything. Again, not my favorite TNG episode, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, setups and payoffs. That's what it's all about. And yeah, I mean, the writing on Star Trek, The Next Generation at least, has always been top notch. So yeah, we get the payoff when Picard shocks Worf, as Yahel just eloquently put, and Data successfully makes the antivirus. And we are in our next scene. Everyone is cured. Reg gets a disease.
Wait, what did you think about Picard's? What did you think about Picard's little joke?
Which joke?
So when Data tells Picard, like, "Hey, I've got this thing figured out. I can make it a gaseous form and spread it throughout the ship." He goes, "Okay, yeah, please do it, Mr. But then he tells Worf, "Well, Mr. Worf, hopefully by the time you wake up, you'll be a new man."
I mean, I'd say that's a good one-liner. I feel like they really really missed the chance to do a fart joke there, but probably best that they didn't.
Oh, well, Worf does burp earlier.
Oh, yeah, eating, that's right.
I think that's the one and only burp in the history of all Star Trek.
So I wonder how they figure. Well, we'll just finish the episode where everyone's cured. I guess they're back in the med bay where it all began. I'm sorry, sick bay. There, I'm learning. And Crusher tells Reg that whoever the first patient is that gets that carries a disease or something along those lines, they get the disease named after them. And and he just thinks it's the greatest thing ever. He said, "Thank you, Dr. Crusher, for naming this disease after me." Which is like, I don't really know that character very well, but it seems like the perfect thing for him.
Yeah, and then what does Crusher say? Something like, first he has a disease. She says something about him. Oh, now he has a disease named after him. And Troy overhears it. And Troy, who's the ship's counselor, says, "Oh, I better clear my calendar for the week." And the very unprofessional number
right.
as a counselor. But what's his face? Barclay is like does go to her regularly for therapy. Right. Like when he's first introduced in the first episode, he has an addiction to the holodeck.
Oh, I remember that episode. All right.
It's very strongly implied that he's been having sex with holodeck versions of actual people from the ship, like Troy and the Doctor.
Would you say that Reg represents the Trek fan community?
Yeah, he's a good stand-in for
I mean, I could just imagine like some guy was... I imagine many Trekkies over the years were like, "Oh, if only I could get into that holodeck. Ooh, the things I would do."
Yeah.
But
the thing about Barclay is that he has like all these like I don't know if he's supposed to be just have anxiety, or maybe he is supposed to represent maybe someone on the spectrum or something. I don't know exactly what they were trying to. Or if they were even trying, to do anything with him like that. But, he's always like has anxieties about something. He's very, he's not confident.
He's very neurotic.
In himself.
Yeah.
Right. And the great thing is that by the time he gets on Voyager, because he's only in the Voyager 7th season, so it's like, like almost a full 7 years since the end of TNG. Wow. By then, he still has a little bit of the neurosis, but they're like way more subtle. And he's like head of this program that's like trying to communicate with he becomes the hero basically of Star Trek Voyager. And so he has like a really nice like overall story arc.
That's cool. Yeah, good character arc. Yeah. Wow. To think that.
In fact, Troy still like checks up on him. That's why she's on Voyager, and she's still like helping him through stuff. So he's still like in therapy 7 years later, but he's doing much better.
Nice. Well, I think we've covered this episode pretty well, unless there's any like, I don't know, if you got any more fun facts about it.
The only other thing I didn't mention was that Gates McFadden, the reason why, I think it's pretty obvious, but the reason why she gets taken out by the Venom so early is because she was directing it. So is that she'd have, more time to do that. And it was her first time directing anything.
Oh, wow. What an odd episode to start out on.
Right?
Yeah, but good for her for taking the challenge.
Yeah. So I think that like probably speaks to some of the pacing issues too. Or maybe, if not the pacing issues, because, that's the script too. Picard's reaction or lack of reaction, maybe that was a direction from her.
Actually, I was thinking that. I also felt like there were different camera angles that I didn't really remember seeing. So I don't know. Maybe they started experimenting a little more down the line. Like I thought it was weird when Data homoerotically sidled up next to Reg, and like it was like almost sort of shot from the kitten's point of view or something, or it was just an angle that I just wouldn't expect from a Star Trek or any TV episode really, but I still appreciated it though, especially the homoeroticism.
Yeah, I do have a couple of other fun facts.
Okay.
Actually, this episode won an Emmy.
Let me guess, makeup effects.
Nope, you would think. It won an Emmy for Outstanding Individual Achievement in Sound Mixing for a drama series. It was nominated for a makeup Emmy as well, and some other sound editing Emmy. I think I had one other thing. Nope, I sure don't.
All right. Well, hey, that's fascinating. Let me run the bumper, and we will answer the immortal question.
Remember how rated that's the question.
All right. So we have 2 questions to answer here. We'll start out with the first one. All right. If I'm a Trek guy, but I also love Halloween, like, is this episode worth like watching every Halloween with my other like Halloween traditions, the other horror movies that I watch along with it? I'll let you start since you're the big Trek guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a Trek fan, yeah, it's like a fun one to watch on Halloween. I do want to say that it was a toss-up between this episode and another episode called Night Terrors. And where that's real creepy too. Well, this one isn't really creepy, but the Night Terrors one is creepy. But they're like hallucinating because they're unable to dream. So
Right.
like it's like making them have hallucinations during the day, and there's a bunch of like really cool kind of creepy stuff. But the end thing and the solution gets like so like kind of cheesy and weird that like, and not in a good way. That I was like, I skipped that one. But arguably, you could say Night Terrors is more of a classic Halloween type episode. But anyways, for me, yes, I would watch this every Halloween, but I would watch this any day of the week too.
Well, wait, that's our next question. Anyway, all right, for me, who's I would say a casual Trek fan and a much bigger horror fan, like this, I mean, if you think about like some big like cosmic horror, you got Alien, which I definitely saw some inspiration from Alien in this. Like there's a scene where I think it's Picard or Riker, he gets like acid on his hand when they're in the duct or something.
Yeah.
That's totally like straight out of Alien. And then also the other big like space horror I would say is Event Horizon. Are you familiar with that film?
Yep.
And unfortunately, this one does not reach anywhere near like the fright level of those.
Right.
But it's hard to compare since this is a TV show back when TV wasn't so risque. But yeah, I mean, I would never watch this again. Sorry.
Get out.
So yeah, we'll say
Get out.
we'll say stalemate. At least for this being a Halloween show. Like, all right, as far as all right, being thrown into the pit of obscurity, never to be heard from. Or before we get to that, is this a good Trek episode?
It's not a bad Trek
Like
episode.
mediocre, maybe.
I would say it's like it's like a fun watch, especially if it's your first time going through the show, because it's so weird, man. Like, it's so different from all of their other episodes, so it's kind of like a fun break. And like, you very rarely see the characters act like this, where they're like not in control.
Right.
So I mean, I think it's a pretty decent episode. Would it be in my top 10? No. I think the problem is because TNG has so many good episodes of such a high bar that when you get an episode like this, it's like, it's okay. But if this was an episode in another TV series, it would probably be one of its better episodes,
true. All right. So, I mean, I'll just go ahead and render my verdict and say that I definitely don't feel that it needs to be, thrown into the black pit of obscurity. How about yourself?
I also agree.
All right. So it's saved. Let me, here it is. In accordance to Obscurity Now, the most important streaming YouTube podcast in all of the internet, you shall be remembered. Yes. Good show. Good show. Yeah, I could see this one being like referenced by one of like maybe the current Trek shows as like an Easter egg for, big time Trek people, maybe. Like, I don't know, maybe someone is talking to Picard in the Picard show and they're like, hey, remember that time when when the crew like de-evolved into like weird like horror creatures? And he'd be like,
So there is a Star Trek show now where they do that every episode, basically. The cartoon Lower Decks is constantly will randomly like say some like weird thing, exactly like you. I don't think that they've done this episode yet, but I'm sure they will, and the joke will probably sound something like that.
Right? Yeah, it's I figured as much. So my question to you, if there's like a bunch of maybe Trek people, or maybe they're only classic fans, or maybe they're interested in checking out some of the new stuff, is any of the new stuff any good and worth checking out?
Not really. Well, Lower Decks, the cartoon, is actually legitimately the best Star Trek show right now. The first episode is not good, but then from then on, like, it's all great, and the second season is really good too. And they still, like, even though it's like a comedy show, they still like have like actual like classic Star Trek morality played plots, and they do like lots of references to stuff that happened on TNG and DS9 and Voyager, so they've actually had Riker in it.
Oh wow!
And Riker and Troy, they're like married, and they got them through their voices. And it's pretty funny because Riker is just like a lunatic in Lower Decks.
Nice.
Like, he's just like super modulated. He's basically a caricature of Riker, just super over the top. And it's really, really fun. And they've had like a few other like Trek guest stars. So yeah, and it's great. It takes place like basically right after the TNG movies ended is when Lower Decks takes place. So
interesting.
But Picard is terrible. Discovery, I don't even know which one is worse, to be honest with you. There's a new show coming out called Strange New Worlds, though.
Was that the CGI
that
one?
Looks like it. No, that one's Prodigy. That one just started, I think, or it's going to start next week. But that one's for kids, little kids.
I mean, the CGI looks pretty cool, but I mean, I'd never watch it.
It does. I'll watch like the first episode just to
Give
like
it a shot.
Test it out. And they brought Janeway back for it, which is
saw,
so cool.
Yeah.
But
she looks so young
anyways,
and virile.
Yes, she does. I should get some pregnant juice out of her. Anyways, so Strange New Worlds is going to be come out sometime next year, and that one looks like it's going to go back to traditional Star Trek, where it's not an ongoing season-long story. It's like a different story every week. So yeah, the new Star Trek is just like very violent.
Yeah, I've heard. I've watched videos about it.
Yeah, and people like just like they drop F-bombs all the time, and I'm no fucking prude, but It's just weird in Star Trek, you know.
I
Like,
love that. I'm no fucking prude. That's great. As he says, wearing a Star Trek uniform. That works for me. I love it. Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like they've seen the light and are hopefully going back to what works. But any big plans for Halloween?
I have no plans for Halloween at this time. What about you, Steve?
At first, I didn't really have any. I was gonna take the boy for his first time trick or treating to a few houses, but then I have another friend of mine asking me to be his Mike from Red Letter Media, and then we're just gonna go to a bar dressed as Mike and Jay from Red Letter Media. So there you go. I guess those are my plans.
I wonder like how many people will.
Yeah, I mean,
get
it's for us. It's for us. Let's be honest.
I mean, Red Letter Media is very well known.
Sure.
but
I mean, if you
how would you dress up as Mike?
you just wear their VCR repair shirts, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. So,
Right.
okay.
If you went to
That
the
makes
right hipster bar, I'm sure maybe 2 people would get it. So we'll see. I'll let you know how it goes.
If I do something, I'll probably wear this. It's my excuse every year to wear my. I do have one last fun fact about one of the actors.
Okay.
Mr. LeVar Burton, Geordie LaForge. While I was wearing this shirt, he shoved me, and I almost fell.
Wow.
And
But that's because you were drunk, right?
well, yeah. I mean, I was drunk at a convention, and I came on to him. And no. And I was getting my picture taken with him, and he was just trying to say like, "Oh, there you go." You know how like you put your hand on somebody's back
Right.
and just kind of guide them along. He wasn't trying to be rude or anything, but I was so drunk at this point that like the slightest gust of wind would have been enough to knock me off balance. So he was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Oh no, this is great."
Did he
was
give you
very-
a book on sobriety afterwards?
Probably.
But you don't have to take
If I
my
got
word for
contact
it.
drunk.
Yeah. Well, all right. I think we're almost done here. Any progress in the projects category?
I am wrapping up my script for next video on Perfect Dark. It's gonna be sponsored, this video, by Magic Spoon.
Oh,
And,
have you been? Is that stuff any good?
I haven't opened the box. It just came in yesterday, and I was like in Orlando, so I haven't had it yet. But I know a few people that have, and they say it's good. And for the amount of money that I am shocked that they are paying me, it's gonna taste great.
You hear that,
They're
Starfleet?
paying a lot of money.
Captain Velazquez is up for sale. Just like that good
I'm
Captain Stark from Sequest.
the only reason why I'm doing the sponsorship is because I'm kind of testing the waters for doing the channel full time sometime next year. So I kind of want to get an idea of how much money I could realistically pull in through sponsorships and views.
That's
and
great.
Try and sort it
That's
out.
great, man. I'm hoping this show will be there someday.
Hey,
But anyway,
what about you?
the
Any projects?
comic book is basically done. Cover's done.
Nice.
The only thing that's left is like, of course, since I'm a shill, I'm gonna have one page in the back that promotes this show, and of course, Ray Can't Sleep, because why not? I mean, I'm gonna be handing this thing out for free. Might as well try to get some views and downloads out of it. And
Oh, so you are doing a print version?
eventually, I mean, the first step will be digital, which will be offered to anyone listening to this show who wants one. Just leave a comment if you like. It'll probably be ready the next time we do a show, which we might as well
Nice.
say what we're going to be covering on Halloween Day, actually. Would you like to tell everyone that?
I forgot. What
Oh, you bastard. All right. You've been...
Oh wait, are we covering? Are we covering one of yours?
No, it's ours. It's Dark Place, man. Dark Place.
Oh, that's right.
It's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
Dark
It's his
Place.
birthday,
Yeah.
everyone. He's been drinking. It's okay.
I have been drinking a lot the last.
Starfleet,
I-
please don't judge him on this episode. He's a stand-up.
You know.
What?
You know what they drink on Star Trek instead of alcohol? Do you remember?
I don't.
They drink synthahol.
Whoa, that is awesome. That's right up my alley right there.
They're a little dicey on how it works, but basically it gets you drunk without any of the negative side effects, and apparently you can like sober up from it like very quickly.
Oh, that sounds perfect. One last project. I mean, it's not really my own. I acted in my friend's short film called Vertical, and then I'm going to be scoring it as well. So
Nice.
that will be, he's going to be sending it out to like festivals and stuff soon. So I'll keep everyone posted here. But anyway, Yahel, anything left to say before we sign off here?
No, I think I'm good. I thank you for watching, for going on this trek.
Oh, good one. Well, you know, you're the star co-host here.
That joke went downhill at warp speed.
No,
sir.
Don't make me beam you out of here, you fuck.
You're ready for the modern Star Trek.
Yeah. Like, don't make me turn this like once a scientific moral show into an action, like awful sci-fi action, whatever.
It's Game of Thrones in space now.
Oh, is there any incest? Because that'd be really hot. I hope not. Please no.
I'm trying to think because they go to the mirror universe and it's very sexual there.
God.
I don't think that there was any incest though.
Man. All right. I'm never going to watch any of that stuff. Anyway, all right. Thank you, everyone, for watching this episode of Obscurity Now. Please subscribe and like. Make sure you check out Yahel's channel, Wrestling with Gaming. And, of course, as you saw in the middle of the show, Ray Can't Sleep. It's the perfect, creepy audio drama for your damn it. I was doing so well for your Halloween.
Too much synthahol?
Halloween holiday. And we will see.
Or maybe you're devolving.
I'm devolving into Pabst Blue Ribbon hard coffee.
You're like Riker.
What are you talking about? And we will see you next week when we'll be covering Dark Place. And see you then. Bye-bye. You've been enjoying Obscurity Now, a podcast that's recorded live to tape and streamed to Twitch and YouTube. Subscribe so you never miss an episode or hilarious quip. Take us with you by following the download links provided in the show notes to wherever you get podcasts. And take notice of our various social media links if that's what you're into. I'm not here to judge. And make sure you join us live next week at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific as we continue to discuss more obscure media only on Obscurity Now. Oh, we've